So welcome everybody to this fourth webinar of the VALITEST webinar series on the concept of test validation in plant health. So today we will discuss how do companies handle quality control and validation of products, and how will the European Plant Diagnostic Industry Association Charter help in improving this task. So this webinar 4 is part of a series, and we have already been discussing about the concept of validation, how to adopt a new test in your lab, and on the use and validation of on-site tests. So the presentation will be recording, and a link to the recording and the PDF of the presentation will be provided on the VALITEST website. So today we have three different speakers with us. So the first speaker is Frye. Caroline is the Chief Executive of LOEWE Biochemica company, and has since steadily increased the range of products and implemented new innovations like the LOEWE Fast Rapid Test Series for the fast on-site detection of pathogens. She has expertise in the field of protein science, antigen preparation, as well as assay validation and quality management. Our second speaker is Marta Santos. So Marta joined ClearDetection in 2017 as operations manager with the objective of improving business development of the molecular plant pathogen diagnostic solutions of ClearDetection, and to implement top quality standards for the production of ClearDetection kits. She has 7 years experience in a research and development environment, focused on the development and implementation of analytical and biological assay. And our last speaker is Camilo Gianinazzi. Camilo is the CEO and responsible for research and development and business development area of IpadLab. He has more than 10 years experience in development and commercialization of products for plant diagnostic. He worked as a researcher at the university. He also worked as a researcher at the University of Piemonte Oriental, the San Raffaele Hospitals, and the IFOAM Institute in Milan. So without further ado, I will give the floor to Camilo for the outline of the presentation.
So thank you to all to attend to our webinar. So today we will have 3 speakers, as Charlotte said. We will have Caroline from LOEWE. She will present us the context, so what is the definition of quality and validation, and how companies handle with product development and validation. Then we will have Marta Santos from ClearDetection that will present the project on the European Quality Charter. So why the market needs a quality charter, and what are the aims of this charter. And finally, I will present to you the European Association project and what will be the role of this European Association. So next. So work package 7 are several goals within VALITEST, but one of the main goals is to lay the foundation for structuring the quality and commercial offers for plant health diagnosis tools. Within the consortium of the project, we were able to gather a very large expertise in product development and manufacturing for plant health by involving 6 of the EU manufacturers. So IpadLab from Italy, ClearDetection from Netherlands, BioReba from Switzerland, LOEWE from Germany, Frye Diagnostics from the Netherlands, and Cediac from France. The first part is on what is your organization main activity. That will help us to understand which is the audience today. So you have to select one answer between laboratory performing plant pest analysis, company manufacturing kits, research institute, plant protection service, and accreditation service.
So we have about 75 of the people that have voted. And it's not changing a lot. So I will close the poll and share the results.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. So we have almost half of the audience laboratories performing plant pest analysis, and the rest is quite divided. Companies, research institutes, and plant protection service, and only 2% accreditation service. So thank you. Okay, thank you, Charlotte and Camilo. I have the pleasure to start this webinar today with a little talk about the context and quality of validation from our point of view as developer and manufacturer of plant disease diagnostics. So first, to get us started, I would like to ask you a question. What do you think is quality? What does quality mean to you? So please take a minute and then choose one or more of the answers below.
So we have about 80% of the people that have voted. I will wait a few more seconds. Yeah, okay, it's not changing anymore, so I will close the poll and share the results.
Okay, so we have a majority for quality standards used by companies for validation, but the rest is quite undecided, which is actually not a big surprise. Okay, because in the context of quality management, quality really refers to a set of properties of a product or service which allows to satisfy the customer's needs. So in other words, it's really the perception that a customer has about the product or the service. So it can naturally mean something different for each of us, really depending what we expect from the product. So a product or service can be perfectly suited for one customer and of high quality for him, but another one not so much, and he would rate it as lower quality and not be satisfied. So how do companies handle this kind of conflict? One tool is to establish and maintain a quality management system. A documented quality management system can act as a framework to manage quality creation process, but do not be mistaken. It does not create quality per se, but it helps managing all the steps you need to generate products and services that are within the customer's requirements. So a quality management system usually follows a process-oriented approach. And its ultimate goal is to achieve continuous improvement of the process, the product, the system. So in a process, you always have an input like customer requirements, and you have an outcome like products that satisfy your customer. One very common tool to achieve this, and this is actually the base of many international standards like the ISO 9001, is the plan, do, check, act circle. So let's go a little bit into detail. The planning part is a task of the leadership of the organization. So the management commits itself to define a quality policy, quality goals. It does a risk assessment. It's defining the responsibilities within the organization. And it provides resources of all kinds, like the infrastructure or personnel. Then we come to the actual product realization, the doing part, where you define the requirements for product development. You do verification and validation. You also have checking traceability, like, for example, if you purchase raw material. And you control products that are not conformant. So, but it doesn't stop here, because within the scope of a quality management system, you do always measure and analyze and improve your process, your product, your system by having internal, external audits, by doing management review, and by determining the customer satisfaction. So the results of all these analysis then go into the ACT part, which is the identification and control of any non-conformance, and to apply corrective and preventive action, hopefully to improve your whole process again. And as I said, this is a very systematic approach for quality management, and it forms the basis of many management systems, including the well-known ISO 9001. In plant health, we often encounter the terms certification and accreditation, and they are very often used together and interchangeably. Obviously, this can cause confusion, but the difference is quite easy to explain. An organization receives certification from a certification body, like in Germany we have the TÜV, when it can demonstrate that it meets all requirements according to a certain standard. And there are many standards depending on the industry. And the most common one for any industry, again, is the ISO 9001. On the other hand, accreditation is given towards the competency, towards a specific activity by an authoritative body. Like in Germany, we have the German accreditation body. However, it also includes all principles of a quality management system. So in summary, organizations receive accreditation towards a specific activity. There are several standards, like the ISO 17024 for test and calibration laboratories, standards for certifying bodies, for organizers of ring tests, or for manufacturers of reference material. So I don't see something happening here. Okay. In plant health, most companies do have a certified quality management system according to ISO 9001, but they also have a strong focus already on the demands and requirements for quality control and validation. When we implemented our quality management system at LOEWE several years ago, we often had some little problems about the terms verification and validation and what's the difference. Verification and validation are independent procedures, but are used together for checking whether a product or service meets specific requirements and specifications and that it fulfills its intended purpose. So verification can be quite early in the product development, where you test that you actually built what you said that you would. And validation goes hand in hand, but can also occur during the life cycle of a product when new market needs are identified. So you should ask yourself, did I build what is needed actually? And in the fast changing field of plant diagnostics and plant pathogens, this is more the rule than the exception. So how do we do this in reality? In our company, we have established a standardized product development process. And I chose here the example of the development of a commercial kit for RNA-PCR for tomato brown rugose fruit virus. So in December 2018, a customer contacted us because there was the first report of tomato brown rugose fruit in a greenhouse in Germany, and they asked us if we had a test, which we didn't. So as serological tests for tobamoviruses are often not so specific, we decided to establish and develop an RNA PCR kit. So we had to first identify requirements by procuring infected material to check if we can receive it, if we need a permission for this emerging pests. Then we verified the infected material by sequencing so that we are on the correct starting point. We defined the scope of the product, sensitive and specific detection of tomato brown rugose fruit in tomato plants. We did project assignment to trained personnel, literature research, primer design, and the assay setup. So then we started to build the prototype, and within several circles of optimization, we verified that we meet our scope, and hand in hand went in-house validation of performance criteria. This underwent several cycles until we were satisfied with the performance of the kit. And as it was already part of an existing product line, we did a production release with the according documentation, standard operating procedures, and now the kit undergoes routine quality control like life cycle stability tests. Of course, when there are new requirements identified in the market, we will start over the process. So where can you find now our in-house validation data? We put them in our product specification sheet. You can find the analytical sensitivity, limit of detection. Of course, in the case of an endpoint PCR, it is only qualitative, but at least you can see that RNA from infected leaf material is easily detected up to 0.1 nanograms. We use internal standards as a reference, and we also list the matrix that we have tested, like healthy plants. Then regarding the analytical specificity, we have tested a lot of tobamoviruses, which we had in our internal collection, and also host pathogens, which are non-tobamoviruses. We also determined isolates of tomato brown rugose fruit viruses which are detected, and we obtained those from strain collections or from collaborations. So what is not listed on the product sheet is repeatability and robustness. Yes, we do this with the new method validation or reagent chains, and in routine quality control, we do technical replicates and lot-to-lot consistency checks by side-by-side testing. So as you can see, there are several sources of validation data. Always companies do in-house validation with the reference material they can obtain, and those data can be found in the product specifications or certificates of analysis or manuals. Quite frequently, research groups at universities, for example, generate data which are then published. Sometimes companies have the opportunity to cooperate with an external partner, where also publication results. And rarely there are ring tests or test performance studies within a larger scope, like the project VALITEST or Ponte, which then can result often in a new EPO diagnostic protocol. So you see there are a lot of places where you can find data, but no common source. And with that, I will give the floor to Marta and Camilo, who will go a little bit more into detail how the commercial partners within the frame of VALITEST are aiming to help to change this in the future. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline. Let me just see if, yeah. So today, following Caroline's presentation, I am going to introduce you to the plant health diagnostics charter for the plant health industry. It was already presented. Camilo already presented the scope of VALITEST project, and this is one of the activities that is being developed. So, following up on what Caroline says, sometimes you're looking for information on a diagnostic method, and what do? You can be, well, for example, a laboratory performing official plant pest analysis. You can be a private laboratory for plant pests. It can be plant protection services or an R&D facility just investigating plant and pest interactions or new breeds. Can be many different people. And you might need to choose a new test, or you to check if a certain diagnostic is fitting your purpose, or you might be looking for validation data for your quality control. For instance, if you're applying for a certification, for a accreditation of your method. And well, where will you look for this information? Caroline just said you can go to IPA database of expertise, or colleagues, or literature, or company websites, but there's a lot of different sources and no common. And sometimes you just want to use a commercial kit and you don't have time and resources to spend on finding information. I think this will justify, well, a lot of examples. So when you're going specifically into commercial diagnostic kits and you're looking for information about it, what can you do? Where will you look for it? What guarantee do you have about its performance? How do you know if it will fit your purpose? How can you evaluate its quality? How can you trust the IP that is behind it? So this is where we found the need to create the charter for plant health industry. What if there is a way to present you all this information on a structured and systematic manner, accessible for everyone, and including many of the commercial kits produced in Europe? And this is the main aim of the Plant Health Diagnostics Charter for Industry. So we divided the aims of the charter in two parts. First, there was going to be the quality guidelines. So the charter aims to define some quality guidelines for validation of kits produced by companies, for the production of kits produced by companies, and also the promotion of the use of quality management system that fits the company. And then there is also the aim of standardize and make the information visible, which that is what we think that it doesn't really happen at the moment. So with this, we aim to make visible the market options for kits, to implement standardized documents by manufacturers, so you can see the information on an easy way and always with the same structure, so you can more easily identify the information that you are looking for. And we also aim to facilitate the sharing of this information on a platform that to make it visible for the community. And now with this, I would like to ask you, on your opinion, what are the most important aims of the charter for you? If it will be the quality guidelines for kits validation, if it will be the quality guidelines for kits production, that it will enable to make the market options visible on the market, the implementation of standardized documentation, or the information sharing. Please select a maximum of 2 answers and we will come back to discuss the results.
So we have about 70% of the people that have voted. I will leave it a bit longer. It continues to increase. All right, we are at 78%. It's not changing a lot, so I will close the poll and I will share the results.
Okay, so actually 65% of the audience says that one of the most important aims is the quality guidelines for kits validation, but it's also a significant number of people that find important the implementation of standardized documentation. Thank you so much for your feedback. I think this tells that indeed the charter as it is and as it's being developed, it will probably be useful, and I think that's very important to hear. So let me continue then forward. So what is the scope of this charter, and so why is it there, and what is it meant to be? So it's addressed to all companies in producing plant health diagnostic kits in Europe, and it's about creating almost a brand for quality on the industry. So to set down the foundation in a way that when you recognize, when you see the information coming out of the quality charter for plant health industry, that you know that this is done on a certain way, that you can trust it, and that the information is also visible for you in a way that you can actually find if it suits you or not. So this will be, so this is a summary of what we believe that is the scope. So it's for developing, manufacturing, and the selling of the kits. Covers the general competencies requirements for carrying out high-quality kits development, production, and sale. Each manufacturer shall establish and maintain a quality management system that is appropriate for the plant health detection kit design, validation, and production. And there is a commitment to the quality charter that shall ensure the final user that the kits are designed, validated, produced, and sold through high quality standards. And that, I think, is the message that I would like to stress today. How are we building this charter? So the charter is being built upon this, what we call the 6 pillars of the quality charter. So there is, of course, a legal framework. There is the quality system, and that Caroline already told you about, so that each company should have it implemented in its own. And then there is some guidelines for quality procedures for product development and validation, kind of like the minimum requirements that you should check during the development and validation of a certain method. And then the quality procedures for products manufacturing. So how do you produce it in a way that you ensure that there is no, for instance, cross-contamination, that you know exactly what's inside your product. And then there is also, of course, communication and marketing ethics and sustainability and social impact. I am going to go a bit more into the pillar 3 and 4, because we think are the ones that are most specifically to plant health industry. So mainly the quality procedures for development, for products development and validation. And here we would like to create and implement the validation datasheet for industry, which aims to be a document that can be applied to any kit that was developed by one of the companies that adhere to this charter. And we aim that such a document would have the following information. First, some general information. So what is the organism, the taxonomy group, the manufacturer, where is made. And then some test information. So what is the type of test, the type of detection, the type of sample, the number of targets, the available extraction methods and the scope. For instance, is this a test that was tested on leaves, or was it on soil, or was it on a suspension? That this information can be made very clear for the end user. And then we aim to also include validation performance characteristics. So here, of course, the sensitivity and the specificity will be the most important ones, but there is also room for robustness, repeatability, and so on and so on. So there's the core ones that everyone should fill in, and then there is of course extra, because you can always do more validation than the one that is, let's say, the minimum requirements. And there's also very important the use of reference material. Which reference material was it used in the development and validation of a certain kit? You will have, we will include the manufacturer's validation report and also other references. For instance, if you have an article, a publication about the validation data of this kit and so on, that this can all be concentrated in one place and in one document. We will also make the kit information available. So this is very specific for the plant health kits, in a sense that each kit will be identified by its product code and by its components, so that we can make sure that it's, for instance, that primer combination that was tested, and that is what is there. And if for instance, later on there is a change, let's say that a company had to change a component and they did the necessary verification, it's the same. So they can also include this information later on the data sheet, validation data sheet. At the end, this will look a bit like this. So it aims to be a document that is presented on a table with all the information and some important links. This is just an example, because this is of course still under construction, and that everyone can then download and go through it to find the information. Regarding the quality procedures for products manufacturing, we are working on the standardization of a quality production certificate. And on such a certificate, we believe that the most important information is the identification of the certificate itself, with a number and a date, the product identification, so that you know exactly the name of the product, the catalog reference, and the batch number, so you know exactly what is referring to. The product conditioning, so what are the conditions that ensure that the product retains its quality, so the expiration date and the storage conditions, and then the quality control results. And here we say that at least this should include a test of a positive control, a test of a negative control, a water buffer control, and eventually other parameters that might be relevant for a certain kit. So, and how are we going, or how are we planning to implement this? So here, first we need to make it visible. And to make it visible after the survey that I think Camilo perhaps will talk a bit more afterwards, the easiest way is to have it online on a website, where we aim to have a database with all the validation sheets, and we would implement the use of a logo for kits following the quality charter guidelines, so that at the end of the day, everyone that follows the rules of the quality charter, that can use the logo of it, and that will be a recognition of quality. And how will this charter be managed? Well, it should be managed by the plant health industry itself, and we should ensure that there is peer validation of the information provided, so that there is kind of a check, okay, this information is according to the charter, it's not, it's still missing this, or is it complete? And that all kit producers in Europe are welcome to using it, adapting their own quality standards. And I think with that, we would like to ask you what will be the uses of the charter in your context, now that you have a bit of more information about it. And well, we have accreditation if you intend to use it for your accreditation purposes. If you intend to use it when you are going to select a new method, to compare, update your current method, if you are going to use it for the recognition of its use as a quality standard, or if you don't intend to use it at all.
So we have about 70% of the people that have voted. I will wait a bit longer because it's still increasing. Okay, we are at 75% and it's not changing anymore. So I will close the poll and share the results.
Okay, so most people will use it for accreditation and for selection of the new method or comparison to a current method. There's still 11% that says that they do not intend to use it. With that, Charlotte, if you close the poll, yeah. Well, to change your opinion on that, we invite you to participate on the construction of the quality charter. This is at this moment, this is a work in progress. We are trying to define within the VALITEST consortium what we believe is the way to go. But of course, this is something that we are creating to serve the community. Therefore, your feedback about it will be important, so we can also make a useful tool for you to use. And I think with that, I will give the floor to Camilo, because he will introduce you a bit more on how do we plan to manage this further. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Marta. So now I will present you the EU Plant Health Diagnostic Industry Association. So starting from the end of the presentation of Marta, as she told you, all the work package 7 partners are participating to the establishment of this quality charter. And the 6 PMIs are also very involved in this. But when the EPDIA quality charter will be established, we will need to manage it, improve and promote it in the future. And we think that the best idea to do that is to establish an association. And this association will include all the manufacturers at the EU level. So this association will be called EPDIA, which stands for European Plant Diagnostic Industry Association, and it will be a key player in the sector in the future. Today, we have an increase of demand from global end user of plant health diagnostic products, qualitative but also validated. And as we said before from Caroline but also Marta presentation today, most of the end user are laboratories, and they have to face some constraints and some issues, like for example, how can I find a product that I want to use? And if I have a product, I find a product, how are the validation data that I can get from the manufacturer? The problem of reference material also, and laboratories has to participate to TPS and PT with products and to face accreditation body requirements. On the other hand, we have the manufacturer that have to face more or less the same constraint. So they are very linked to the one of the laboratories. For example, on the validation data, how can we share with you the validation data? On finding reference material to do validation. And finally, to participate to TPS and PD with our products. And another constraint or issue we have as manufacturer is also speaking and talking with stakeholders and policymakers. And for this reason, we think that now we need a representative organization that could play as a unique interlocutor, depending, for example, on stakeholders and policymakers discussion, but who will have the role of improving the information sharing, and finally to manage the EPDIA quality charter. And this could be done by EPDIA, which is the European Plant Diagnostic Industry Association. So the purpose of the association is to make reliable and validated products available to more end users and help our laboratories to work in a more efficient and sustainable way. The missions will be, first of all, to be the European voice of the plant health diagnostic manufacturers in Europe, but also to highlight the value and contribution of plant health diagnostic products and solutions, promote and manage the EPDIA quality charter, which is a very important tool, and to be a trusted partner to EU policymakers and other key stakeholders. And the task of EPDIA will be sharing with European institutions and stakeholders the needs, but also the difficulties of end user in the use of phytodiagnostics tools that could be reliable, validated, and qualitative, establishing and reinforcing the link with European institutions in order to improve the quality and the performance of the tools that are offered on the market and to guarantee also the quality and the performance, to interact with the European institution and to try to contribute to effective regulation and legislation in the plant health at the European level, as we are also a player. And finally, engaging also partnership with URLs. So the organization of EPDIA, at the moment, we think that naturally the first member will be EU manufacturer SMS. But we will open also the membership to private lab, research institution, agro-industry, and EPPOs, because we think it's very important to share the information and to talk each to other. The financing will be most by members fee, and EPDIA will use different channels. So in this information sharing by doing working groups, webinars, conferences, publication, website, but also social media. We expect to launch the association in June 2021. So we would like to ask you how you interact with EPDIA, select maximum 2 answers, so more to the newsletter, participation to working groups, conferences, become a member, or website.
So we have about 70% of the people that have voted. I will wait a few more seconds. Okay, we reached about 80%, so I will close the poll and show the results.
So thank you. So we can see that The 55% would interact by conferences and webinars, and this is very important because we think also that these are tools that permit to EPDIA and the industry to share information and to discuss with the other player. The website is also important, but we have also newsletter and participation to working groups. Become a member is only 60% because I imagined that at the beginning, the first question was on your activity and only 12% were company. Thank you. So the website, for us, the website is very important, and we are, it is under construction. Here you have a screenshot from the website. It's not the final one, but you can understand all the information that you will have in it. So you will be able to understand how to become a member and who are the members. The European Quality Charter will be on the website, so it will be useful, and you can also look at it as an user. Some research projects, so the projects on plant health diagnostic will be present, so you'll be able to get the information and some research and news. But the most important part, we think, is the one link to the presentation of Marta and the Quality Charter is a section called Diagnostic Kits. So in this section, which is the database, you will have the possibility to find the kit, okay, depending on your needs. So all the EU manufacturers that will adhere to the EPDIA, and so will adhere also to the charter, will be able to integrate the kits in this database. The database will be organized such to find very quickly what you need. So you will be able to find it depending on the type of test, the type of detection, the type of sample, but also the type of test. And you will be also able to click here and to get all the list of the kits of your interest with the references and or validation data. And here are some examples, okay, where you can find, you will have the taxonomy group, the organism, the manufacturer, and the type of test. So when we will choose one, for example, we will do this on Xylella fastidiosa, you will click on it, and at this moment, it will open another web page on which you will have all the information that the quality charter has mentioned. So you will have the taxonomic group, the organism, the manufacturer, the country of production, and the very important section is validation data and references. And here you will be able to download, for example, the EPDIA charter validation datasheet, but also the manufacturer datasheet or others. And in the reference, you will have the possibility with a link to go to publication or to other references, for example, participation to TPS. Then you will have more technical information like the type of test, the description of the test. So is it a real-time, an FT real-time, an FT endpoint PCR, or a DAS ELISA, the type of sample, woods, roots, leaves, the targets, the number of targets, and if an extraction method is available, all the manufacturer will be able to put here, okay, the indication. So as a PDF or as a link, and then the scope. Then to facilitate your contact to the companies, you will have all the, let's say, commercial information. So the product code, the web shop, so you can get directly the information to the manufacturer, the format, and all the components. You will have other information. This is open to manufacturers. They can put what they want in this part of the other information. And then you will have technical support, very important, because you will be able to have the guidelines or the protocols or the manual of the kits, but also the MSDS sheet. So this will be available for all the kits that are produced by EU manufacturers that adhere to the EPDIA quality chart. So now one question we want to ask you is, why do you think EPDIA will be useful. So for the database, the newsletters, the research project information, the quality charter information, or the easiest interaction with members.
So we have about 70% of the people that have voted. I will wait a few more seconds. So the one that has not answered can. Now we are around 80%, so I will close the poll and share the results.
Okay, thank you. So I think we are very happy because we find that our idea of database is very useful. So we have quite 80% thinking that the website will be useful for the database, but also the quality charter information is useful, 52%, and 40% for research project information. So thank you for this, your feedback. So as Marta did for the quality charter, we would like to invite you to participate on the construction of EPDIA. So you can write to contact@epdia.eu and you will be informed about the development, but you will be also involved. So I would like to thank you all for your attention, and I would like to thank you also Caroline and Marta for helping for the presentation, but also Charlotte. And I would like to do a reminder on the 22nd of April, we will have a practical training session, okay, on the use of kits. And this training section, you can do the registration until the 8th of February, and you will be able to test the kits from one of the company. You have a list with some choices. The kit will be sent for free to you in your lab, and you will be able to test it and to then discuss with the company about the feedback about the use, the validation data, but also some issue you could have. So I invite you to register yourself by the 8th of February. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Camilo. I will ask the speaker to turn on the camera again and the microphone. And if you have any question on the presentation that was made today, so either you can use the chat or you can also raise your hand and we can give you the floor. So there is one question regarding the website. So the question is on the website, and is there the plan to include also dates, for example, to understand when the record has been updated last, because it might be useful to understand how long or recent the information on the website are. Sorry. So I don't know, maybe Camilo, you can answer.
Yes, so I think this is a good feedback, and it's one of the ideas we had, so we will probably do it because I think it's very important to have a date recorded.
So someone is asking, when will the website database be released?
So as fast as possible. But normally we think by May, June, we will have it. But if you want to be informed, send an email to us, to the contact, and so you can inform you as soon as the website will be available.
So I don't have any other question in the chat. Please do not hesitate to ask any question about the charter or the role of the EPDIA. You can also raise your hand if you want to take the floor. Yes, just to clarify, what is important is the date of when the validation data was generated. So, I guess it was just a comment from Françoise. So no other question, no hands raised. So just to give you a few more minutes to ask your questions. So yeah, so I just would like to say that as I mentioned earlier, the webinar was recorded. You will receive the link to the recording in the follow-up email. In the follow-up email and at the end of the webinar, there will also be a satisfactory survey. It's really short, just a few questions. So please do not hesitate to fill it in to provide feedback to help us improve the webinar experience. And of course, the link of the recording and the presentation will also be put on the website. I don't see any other question or raise hands. So I would like to thank the presenters, Camilo, Marta, and Caroline. And of course, thanks all of you as the participants to attend those webinars. Our next webinar will be on the 15th of February. It will be about why communication on test selection between risk managers and diagnostic laboratories is important. And with this, yeah, so I wish you a very nice day, end of the day, and see you next time at the next webinar. Thank you a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.